Welcome back. My guest today is Erica Greer. Welcome, Erica. Thank you for being with
Hi.
us. I love Erica so much. We've met about what, 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe?
Got
Maybe.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been exploring the universe together intensely for about a good 2.5 years. And you know, the greatest thing about you is your curiosity. In my opinion, you know, because it's your curiosity that gets you the answers you want so you can keep trying and doing more amazing things in your life, and I love that. And it was just a couple days ago where we were having an amazing conversation about conception, and I was like, wait. Just wait. Let's hold that thought. I would love if we could do this conversation as a podcast. And you said yes, and I was like, yay, okay, perfect. And for listeners who don't know me, who've never worked with me before, the reason I said wait is because the first time we have the conversation is, in my opinion, the best time, because the most information is going to come through from the universe. And that's when I'm getting the information you want. And we're both like super turned on, right? It turned on to the energy and the awareness. So what happens is Erica will have a question, and then, the answers will start coming through me. And then because you're so great at feeling energy, you will then have more questions based on the energy you're feeling as well as the words. So it's different than having a conversation with someone who's just thinking, which, they're like, okay, but what about this? And what about that? You're like, okay, I can feel this. So what does this mean, for my life? Or how can I, or what does this mean for this person or that person in my life? Right. So I love that about you. And I really, I really appreciate you doing this with me today, because this is one of I guess stories is one way of saying it, but it's one of the questions that I get asked the most is about my conception journey, and, you know, how it started and how it unfolded. And to be honest, I haven't told it in its entirety. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 people on the planet that know the entirety of this story. And we're going to talk about conscious conception. And it was funny, just a couple of days ago I did a little internet search on conscious conception, and there's a lot of information on the internet about it. And I would say 90% of what I came across, 50% was questionable information. 90% was only giving about 40 to 50% of the full picture. And, you know, that's what I'm really hoping, that's the whole reason I'm doing this podcast, is so that we can share this information in a way that helps people achieve their goals and their dreams in the most easeful way, right? So it's breaking down the beliefs that are just limiting us. And as I was in the shower this morning, and I was like, okay, what's the biggest misconception about conception? And it was fascinating, the answer that came, because it wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be. And it was actually fear. And I went, okay, show me a little bit more. And it's fear of the pain that our bodies and our minds have to go through during gestation and childbirth. Like, the fear of childbirth was a little bit shocking, actually. Like, I can feel the vibration of how deep that is in our society. And that alone blocks a lot of people from wanting to get pregnant or also getting pregnant. And then, of course, the fear of what's life going to look like when we have children, right? And so, we're going to talk about that. But one thing I want to touch on first is the fear aspect. And this comment is going to get me probably a lot of hate comments, but that's okay. Because I'm used to that by now. Because in order to change our beliefs, we have to challenge what our beliefs actually are. And what I was shown so completely and so true was, childbirth isn't painful. And I know that people are going to be rolling their eyes and they're going to be like, who the hell do you think you are? You've clearly never had a child. Well, I have had a child. And I've given birth naturally at home, blah, 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 blah. But it's not actually painful. What happens in the body, and there's a reason that they're starting with this in relation to the conception process, because when you can start to understand where the misbeliefs are in our society about the actual gestation and birth process, conception is just as easeful. So it's really, really fascinating. So ultimately, childbirth, yeah. So childbirth is not based in pain, right? Because pain is actually a system that was brought into existence as a result of the medical system needing to know how to determine how they could help you and what they needed to help first. Okay. So pain isn't actually universal creation. Okay. It doesn't actually exist, which is like, I know that that's really hard. Like, right. How many times do we hurt ourselves and we're like, that's painful? But it's understanding that there's alert systems in the body that react in different ways to tell you how to resolve that issue, what your body needs. So it's not and the problem is we've come to this place where it's a pain system, right? Like when you go into emergency and you're being triaged, there's a graph that says, is your pain here? Like a 1 to 10, what's your pain? And I remember when I broke my ankle and I said, it's a 15. And she was like, well, that's not on the chart. Can you go back to the chart, please? And I was like, okay, it's a 10. Right. And then when I triaged, my son had hurt his ankle, funnily enough, last week, and we were in emergency, and they actually have Lego faces for their levels of pain from 1 to 10. So of course, now they've made pain fun. It's fun to tell you where my pain is. And that's being trained into us in a way that encourages us to use that system in our daily lives. Okay. So back to childbirth. Childbirth isn't painful. What happens is your entire body is creating the opportunity for you to be solely focused. So your focus cannot be anywhere else. It takes away your ability to hear other things, to see other things. It's like everything else, your senses become dulled. That's not a result of pain. That's a result of the body knowing when it needs to focus. Because, and the coolest thing is if you want to actually study this, the closest practice, I guess, in physical world that I've found that's, in alignment with universal is hypnobirthing. It is absolutely fantastic. And I remember actually my midwives joked when I was having my son, they just said, with hypnobirthing, they love it because it's like the babies just fall out, because hypnobirthing does teach you about how the different parts of the body contract and what's happening in your muscles. So you're focused on that. The problem is the medical system, I don't even know the word, the mainstream medical system, we'll just go with that, is got you focused on the pain. So from the moment you get pregnant, they're talking about all the things to alleviate your pain, alleviate your pain, alleviate your pain, prevent you from this, prevent this. But all of it is based on pain. And so your brain, like this is also why so many women carry past term. They're late delivering. Because if your energy is got any nerves at all, that baby is not coming out because the baby is listening to you and together you're a team, which is super fascinating. So ultimately, understanding how our brains are focused and how our brains work to overcome a goal. Okay. And what they're saying is most people approach getting pregnant and giving birth with overcoming the pain of the actual birth process. Okay. So many people, they think about starting a family and then the pain aspect comes up from underneath. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to endure this pain. Oh, I'm going to have to endure this pain. And the entire gestation process, instead of really being in connection with the baby, which I did talk about in the last podcast, episode 31, I think, with Carrie on the deep connection. So I'm not going to go again into that too deeply, but it's, it's understanding that if your focus is on the pain, you're actually basing your choices on fear. Okay. So this brings us to just our conception. And the reason that, okay, this is really cool because I'm seeing this all for the first time. So my brain is like, whoa, like I'm seeing the awareness and the visions, and it's really cool because my question has always been like, like there's experiences of where women are raped and they get pregnant and it happens super easily. There's a lot of other pregnancies where it happens and they didn't want to be pregnant, right? Or they didn't mean to get pregnant. And the reality is it was, it's meant to happen for a lot of reasons, but also there's no pain and there's no fear reaction. So when you're in the process of the opportunity of conception, right, you're open. You're entirely open to what that person is offering you as an experience, right? And energetically, there's a connection. It's really, really cool. And so what we're mostly going to talk about today is how to create that connection so that conception has the opportunity to flow. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's because here's the thing. Most of us think about conception as having sex, right? Like we're going to have sex and then we're going to get pregnant and then we're going to have a baby. And yay, this is what we want, right? Conscious conception is fundamentally different. It's, it's understanding that there's an intention to bring a new soul into the physical world. That's very different than having a baby. Okay. Most people think about having a baby as, what is this baby going to bring me? What is it going to do for our family? It's going to complete our family. We're going to feel so great. We're going to grow our family, whatever your goals and dreams are. But if you're wanting to participate in a way that allows you to participate in evolution, which is ultimately why humans are here, right? We're here to explore our potential. So if you allow yourself to feel into that, if we're here to explore our potential, then having a baby is the opportunity to not only explore more of your potential, but you're actually birthing a human who is then going to have the opportunity to explore their potential. You can feel that, right? That shift.
Yeah.
So the gift of life isn't for you. It's for that baby. Feel the difference? Most people look at having a baby as, oh, what this baby is bringing to them and their family. But child conception, childbirth, bringing a new human into physical form is, they're showing me it's sacred conception in a way that most people, they laugh it off, or they, it's like, yeah, we all do this. We all do this. 100%. The female body was designed to be able to conceive and to be able to gestate and then give birth. 100%. The masculine body was designed to protect that space while that connection is occurring.
Mhm.
Okay. It's really cool. I haven't done a lot of this because I personally have resisted, for a lot of reasons, especially, feminism and all the kinds of things. So I feel like we're going to go a lot deeper here than I had anticipated, which is always fun, which is great. So what they're saying is it's that sacred, it's a sacred, it's a sacred birth. And it's understanding that every human has experienced sacred birth, but most are not recognized.
Mm.
Every human in existence was created through sacred birth. The, the process of being conceived didn't just come out of left field, no matter how shocking it may seem for some people. It came because there was an intention by the humans that were participating to experience more. Even if once they're pregnant, one's like, whoa, no, or both are like, well, what the heck just happened here? No, thank you. There was an intention in at least one of the parents to participate in an experience bigger than themselves. Okay, and this is, I have a little bit of discomfort. I'm going to say this. It's also the same for rape. And I know that in itself is hard for a lot of people to swallow, because we've been taught that, we don't, oh gosh, I'm not going to go too deeply into that. That's not the point. The point is it was still sacred. And that's super important. If anyone has had the experience where either they have been raped or they are the result of a rape, and you want to understand more, please reach out. We will absolutely do a huge deep dive into that, but that's not what today's episode is about. So it's understanding that the act of conception is a partnership. And you're partnering with the soul of this human who is coming in. And yep, they're going to start out as teeny weeny, and they're going to start out as needing you to care for their physical well-being and their mental and their emotional, 100%. But it's also recognition that they are a soul being. They already have an incredible awareness of who they are, who they're meant to be, what they're meant to be doing in this world. And your job is to guide them. And when you understand that that's what you're participating in, when your intention is to conceive, then it allows you to fully participate. And, a lot of people and couples who have challenges with conception, they're not in the understanding of just how big their impact has the potential to be. They're focused solely on the physical attributes of what's going to change in the family dynamic. Okay. And why this is so important is we're not meant to struggle, right? Like, again, there's no such thing as pain. We're not meant to struggle, except if you believe in all the things we've been told. We're going to struggle, right? We compare each other. We're in a judgment culture. We're in all these dynamics that consistently create opportunities for us to not understand and not recognize the bigger picture. Okay. So like they're saying very, very specifically, any couple who is going through a challenge of conception, it is because there is a higher perspective of their own existence that they need to grasp and allow to permeate their current existence. Here's the problem, okay? And here's why it's so hard, is because most of the people who are challenged are meant to make significant impact in the world, which means they have to look at significant parts of who they are and allow them to change. That's scary. That's scary.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is that when you have to look at parts of you, here's the reality. You're not broken, right? Like that's what people need to remember is they're not broken. So, if you're listening to this right now and you're, I'm going to use the word struggling, which I don't love, but if you're struggling to conceive, okay? So struggle means you want something, it's not happening for you. So basically, you're saying to the universe, give me this, and the universe is withholding, okay? That's how it feels, right? But it's understanding that they're not withholding because there's something wrong with you, or because you're broken, or because your body won't do this, or your body won't do that, or you did this 15 years ago, shame on you. That is not how the universe works. Okay. If it's not flowing, it's because there's something in you that has not yet recognized your own greatness.
Chills.
Right. And sometimes it's both parents and sometimes it's one or the other. And the reason it's happening is because before you even conceive, you're meant to start working in alignment in a way that says, I'm going to lift you up. I'm going to be there in all the ways I need to. But in our society, we go left. And we go all the way to, well, there's something wrong. Let's do all these tests. And then we're going to do all these needles. And then we're going to do all the things. So now you're on a clock, right? And you're having sex on a clock. There's no more intimacy. It's not intimate anymore. It's just sex. You're machines. And the problem is that that's the furthest thing away from leaning into each other and becoming more aware of each other. Because what happens is you start to shut down and you're now on, this is what I want. This is what I have to do to get it. And we're just going to do this. We're just going to do this. We're just going to do this. And your ability to feel is gone. Just like anything, right? It's like any other. So this is what I was shown. And the actual, I'm going to share my sacred, it was a sacred union ceremony, but it was also a sacred conception. Okay. I've never shared this. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm also super excited. And if you have any questions, like anyone listening, if you have questions, please ask them, because I know I'm going to miss probably 80% of the details because, well, the ceremony itself was 8 hours and the prep was 4 months. So, yes, but I'm going to give you the overview of understanding how to bring yourselves together, right? How to bring yourselves together so that you can become a team on what you're working towards instead of constantly being it's like constantly trying to avoid this problem and this problem and this problem, right? Like you're constantly, it's like, oh babe, you shouldn't be doing that because of this, right? Like, oh right, oh thanks, you're constantly helping each other avoid issues, and that's not how you're going to conceive. Think about it this way. When they said, every birth is a sacred ceremony, sacred journey, sacred experience, your your intention for conception is what actually brings that soul in, right? It gives that opportunity. And based on your awareness and your level of awareness, that's going to shape the soul, like the experience and the opportunity for the souls who potentially have the desire to come in and be a part of your experience, right? Because we choose our parents, we choose our experiences, we choose where we're born, everything. We choose our race and our sex and everything. It's quite fascinating. So the you start with what you're eating, and it is a team effort in the sense of recognition. So if someone's like, oh, it's like, I have a lot of people who one of the parents are like so committed and the other one's like, oh, it's not a big deal, like, why are you doing this, why are you doing this? The reality is that's part of the problem, is that you're not supporting each other in your journey. And it's not about, it's kind of like that story of, when children are born and mothers parent but fathers babysit. It's the same dynamic, right? It's like, no, you're both parents and you're both there. And if a parent, one or other, chooses a situation for their child, no matter what it is, whether they're co-sleeping and one's like, that's crazy, and one's like, yes, we have to do this, like, I just feel it in my soul. When someone says, I feel it in my soul, that's the message to the other partner that says, okay, they're serious here. And I need to be in a space where I respect that connection with who they are. And that's missing. That's a huge part of what's missing in our society is, we think by doing things for other people, by saying the right things, by buying the right things, we're treating them with the utmost respect. But the greatest gift you can give another human is when they say, I feel this, that you stop and you listen. And you don't listen with your ears, you listen with your heart, so that other person knows you're respecting them. Because brushing something off, calling it silly because you don't believe, that's disrespect. But it's also disrespectful to you, because this is the person, this is your person. You've committed to this person to build a life together, whether you have children or not. You've committed to this person. And if you disrespect them by brushing them off, that is where the relationship will start to break down, right? I mean, it's just, and then I mean, gosh, we look at the epidemic of divorce in the world that we live in today, right? It's, people are shocked when they hear that people are still together at 50 years of marriage, right? Like it's shocking, is it not? Like, I mean, I walk around and I'm like, that's awesome, right? Like, when you hear of people who are, married for that long. So that's, it's a whole other part of it. But at the same time, it's understanding that this is where it starts, right? And it's understanding that the most important part of any relationship is respect. And you offer that respect by feeling where the other person is coming from, and not using your brain, your beliefs that go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's allowing your heart to feel, wow, okay, so if we brush it off, it's because we're uncomfortable. And it's being able to challenge our discomfort. It's being able to go, okay, why am I uncomfortable with this? What does this mean? Co-sleeping, right? If one parent is really uncomfortable co-sleeping, or, I mean, I live in a world where most of my choices are challenged, right, by other people's belief systems. And so it's regular for me, right? But it doesn't really matter. I mean, actually, I was looking in I came across a conversation in our community group the other day, where a mother was struggling because her mother-in-law said that when your 1-year old is with us, we will put that baby in a forward facing car seat. And in Canada, our regulations are they need to be rear facing until they're at least 2 years old. However, over the past few years, it's become extremely acceptable to have babies toddlers, and children up to 4, right? They just cross their legs, but people's brains are like, well, their legs need to be hanging over. They need to be, but the challenge is that comment made to that mother, well, if the child is with me, they're going to be forward facing. So now that mother, if this is her mother-in-law, right? So now she's in a position where she's been attacked by her mother-in-law. Okay. So let me explain this also. If you come in with aggression, and this is really important for married couples, or, parents, like people who want to intend. If you're coming in with an attack on someone else's belief system, you're going to break down that relationship because of your belief system. Instead of, and this is what we were talking about, right? Like being able to look at your own beliefs. So,
Yep.
and, she's also, the mother is putting her son in a really uncomfortable position because, right? But she doesn't see that. That's the thing. This is the world we live in, right? Because her son now knows that his wife has a very strong belief and an instinct to protect their children. And she is doing everything she possibly can. And this mother-in-law has said, well, that doesn't matter. I'm going to do it my way. Here's the thing. Because your way worked doesn't mean it's the only way and the right way.
Right.
And the point is, when we have children, it is the parents' choice on how they're going to choose to raise them. It's fascinating how conception has gone all over, but it's a perfect example because I think most people can understand, right? Whether you have children or not, you've got in-laws or you've dated people and you've had this situation. And what they're saying is that was a perfect example of a lack of respect. Yeah. And not taking into account that your child is collateral damage, but ultimately, you're the one that's actually creating the rift in the family. You're the one. And most of them are like, well, the daughter-in-law would be, the one because she won't just let me do it my way because I did it right for all my kids.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's not your child. Yes, it's your grandchild, but it is not your child.
Yeah. Your child is collateral damage is huge.
Right.
And when you connect it back to what you're saying before with respect for the two people who are looking to conceive.
Goosebumps.
That's
right.
Yeah. Huge.
And that's the dynamic between the parents, right? Is what's collateral damage when you're not respecting your partner. And this is what they were meaning, right? Coming together and building that connection is what you're meant to be doing. And anything that you disregard offhand is that part of your relationship is collateral damage. It's fascinating, right?
It's incredible.
So this is where you start. You first start with purity and food. So purity is a reflection, or food is a reflection of purity. And what I mean by that is you're only putting things into your body that you want to put into your baby's body. Super simple. Super, super simple. 0 alcohol, 0. So this is not about let's get drunk and see what happens. Maybe it'll take the edge off and we'll be able to, conceive a little bit easier. You're only putting into your body because, again, okay, this is understanding that you're each looking at your partner as the vessel that will nurture and be the safe place for your child. So what's in that safe place? What does that safe place embody? So everything that goes in your mouth is a reflection of that. Everything that goes on your skin, on your body is a reflection of that. A nice little thing is just changing your shampoos, changing your soap and stuff like that, where it's not about, making yourself all smell all pretty and sexy. It's about shifting entirely to the place of you're a mother or a father and a parent who is creating that space where, do you want to smell sexy when you pick your child up in the middle of the night because they're crying and you want to be nurturing? So it's letting go of that dynamic. Okay. Then you're going to come together with your partner and you're going to create a list. This is like it's building the energy, right? So through intention, but it's a list of all the gifts, not physical stuff. Okay. Let me be very clear. All the gifts you're going to give this child. And what is a gift? It's an opportunity for them to see their greatness. So how are you going to deliver those opportunities as a co-parenting team? Okay. Now, this is the most fun part. And I know this is also the part that seems the scariest because then it means you have to tell other people. And that means that if it doesn't happen, you're going to get, it's more heartbreaking. Okay.
Yep.
So this is the part where it took a few months. Okay. Because we made the list of what we're going to offer. And then you're going to make a list of all the people in your life who are going to have an impact on this human when they arrive. Okay. I have goosebumps. Like I'm remembering it and it's quite phenomenal. Now, every person on that list you're going to talk to, and you're going to tell them your intention to conceive, and you're going to ask and you're going to share. So this is how, the conversation is, this is the person you're going to be for our baby. How does that make you feel? And then you're going to ask them, okay, this is the coolest part. It's the most important part. And I'm going to be very specific. You're going to ask them for something, a physical thing that is important to them, that's small, that you can borrow, okay? And that you will return it, but it will be part of your actual conception ceremony. So this whole ceremony it takes months to this is the preparation part. Okay. So this is really important because it's not about that person going out and buying something for the baby. It's not about, someone cutting a piece of hair and giving you the piece of hair. Like, that's not what this is about. This is about something that is it's their treasure, and they are going to entrust you. This is the important part. Okay. The entrustment of their treasure with you, knowing that, and here's what happens. The exchange of energy is they believe in you. They believe in this baby, and they're also contributing to the space that this is bringing. Okay. The reason that is so important is energetically, you're creating your community. If they are giving you something that is not important to them, that they went out and bought, or, they've clipped a piece of hair, that's not the energy. That's the wrong energy. That's the energy that says, well, I don't want to give you something valuable. I'm just going to give you this because it's part of me, but it's also a disposable part of me, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I don't need it back.
Exactly. Now, really cool things that we received as items, sacred items. My aunt has a family Bible. It's just a small little, really thick, but it goes back 5 generations.
Wow.
And it has listed in it family members. And, like one of my grandfather's siblings passed away when they came from England, like in the Thames River, and it's all listed in there. Like it,
Wow.
I have goosebumps just thinking about it. That was one of our gifts.
That's right.
Right? Like, pieces of jewelry that have been passed down that, your family has. And, sometimes they're gonna take it off, like, and give it to you. And some will have it in their jewelry boxes or safe spaces, or, you know, we had rings that have been passed down for generations, watches. We had such cool things. My brain is like, all of a sudden, just because the Bible was such a massive one for me, I was like, right. It was really, really cool. I'm trying to remember. Oh, a crystal from my other aunt. Yeah, they had one, and it signified they got it as a gift from their wedding. And they had been married for many years and had a child. And, so it was in our safekeeping. So it was really cool because, some people were really far away and they mailed, but most of them, like, we traveled around the world and got most of the pieces in. And it was really awesome because you get to have these cool experiences with your family members. So you're bringing them into your world. And that's where, sometimes the fear comes up of, if we tell them and if it doesn't happen, then, it's letting go of the fear. It's recognizing the fear is there, but the fear is only part of my belief system. And that's not going to create opportunities for my children.
Yeah. I do want to say what I think is really beautiful. To me, it symbolizes a safe space, like, which is, I mean, safe space is a buzzword these days, but this is like the ultimate safe space.
Right? It's
It's
sacred.
beautiful.
It's sacred space.
It's sacred. Yes, even
Yes.
more. Yeah.
Yes, it's sacred. And it's understanding that all the people who are contributing are lifting that baby up already, and the baby hasn't even come yet, right? It's like now all the souls can start gathering around, and then the right soul will come. And sometimes you've had souls hanging around, for months and years, right? And then it's like that soul's like, yeah, they're getting ready. This is great. Like, I know I'm coming, right? And it's cool because what also happens is you'll start to get awarenesses from that soul of things you need to do. So you're, for me, I knew I actually switched because I was vegetarian and I switched to vegan. And then I had another awareness and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go full raw vegan. So because that's what was the story for me. I'm not saying go vegan, go anything. What I'm saying is listen to your instincts, and also to the partner, support those instincts for your partner. This is huge. Most people are like, oh no, we're just going to brush that off. You read it somewhere, but really, like, oh, and the eye rolls. Eye rolls are not respectful, people. If you feel yourself going for an eye roll, stop and think. Stop and think. What part of your belief system needs to change? So once you've collected all of these items, so, it's make sure obviously you're keeping them in a safe space, right? And then in preparation for your actual ceremony, you want to get something that is going to be your family bowl. This is the most important piece, okay? It is not, I had someone who said, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you need. I'm going to give it to you. And it was lovely. It was a lovely piece, but it was not what was right for us. Because of the energy, it doesn't matter. It wasn't the right piece for us. It was our mission to go out and buy ours. Because it wasn't about exchanging money. It was about the journey of finding the right piece,
Together.
because together, and recognizing that it was the journey that brought us closer together, but it was also the journey of listening to each other. So you want the bowl to be natural material. So no plastic, right? So glass, wood, pottery, metal, all of them are natural, right? It's what feels best to you. It's important to understand that this will be your family bowl forever. Forever. Okay. And that comes into play in a little bit as well. We use ours for every single ceremony we do, whether it's a new moon, a full moon. We don't do those moons as much anymore. We do equinox, and we do solstice celebrations every year. And whenever we find treasures from the natural world, like, when you're walking and all of a sudden you come across a feather, right? Kids are low to the ground. They see things all the time, right? So from the natural world, it goes in there. And then when we do our ceremonies, we think, because all the things come together. So I'll get to that in a minute. So your bowl. We chose wood because that's what felt right for us. Okay. It was funny because we had seen a bunch and we were kind of like, oh, wood. Oh, okay. And then we saw this one and it was like, yep, okay, that's the one. But it's the journey, it's the communication that has to come out. So you're listening to each other, like, how does wood feel? How does glass feel? How does pottery feel? Like, just feel into that as the foundation for your hopes and dreams and goals, right? Like, that's the understanding. Like, that is literally what ceremony is all about. You only have ceremonies to fulfill your hopes, dreams, and goals, right? That's why we have ceremonies, right? Like, that's the sacred conception. That's all of it. Like, it doesn't matter whether you want more money in your life, whether you want more love, more joy, whatever it is that you want, more respect. Those are your dreams and goals. So the sacred family bowl is the best part of all of it, in my opinion. Okay. So now, ceremony day. Gosh, okay, we're good. I'm like checking the time. I'm like, holy cow, I could talk about this for hours and hours, but I'm trying. Okay. So we're good so far. You're good. It makes sense. It's all.
Yeah, I had a funny joke about it's going to be 9 months, right?
Ah!
Take us 9 months to talk through it.
Yes. I
Yes.
love that. Oh my gosh. So when when you start with the intention, okay, this is going to be the part that most people are not going to like me for, but that's okay. It's not about liking me. So the moment that you set your intention that you're going to create this experience and you're going to conceive, you stop having sex. Da, 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 da. And you pick a date that you're going to conceive on. And every time fear goes, oh my gosh, but, and you're going to go, nope, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because this is what we're doing. It's your date. It's your date, and you're creating that experience because you have the power to do that. That's the craziest thing, is most people think it's just, it just happens whenever it's meant to happen. No, that's not what happens, unless you actually believe that. And then that's going to be your experience, because that's what your brain is processing. But our brains can only process what we believe, right? And when you understand that conception is a sacred art, and you have the ability to master it because you're human in this universe. So you're meant to master this. Like, this is not oh, well, it's only some people can do this. No, everyone is meant to. We're actually meant to, which is crazy, right? So you're going to pick your day. And usually you want at least 4 months, maybe 6 months. Okay. Now, no sex, no kissing, and no touching other than how you would touch your child, your new baby. Takes all the sexiness out of it, right? Yeah. Okay. So that kiss just went to, oh, that kind of kiss. Got it.
I just
No.
wrote no sexy.
Right?
Yeah.
So your intention and both of your energies now are focused entirely on consciously conceiving this tiny human. And all of your energy now is on how you're feeding your body to nurture that baby. Both of you, right? So if you find your appetite goes up for certain things, like the masculine, the male will often have a primal energy or a primal, what's the word? Like an intense craving for more protein and more. And it's funny because it's natural, because they're the protector mode. They're naturally, if they all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I need to be like working out more. I need to be building more muscle, more, because that's their role. Okay. It's primal in us, right? I mean, obviously, we're not going to be swinging from trees and running through forests at this point in our evolution, because we're conditioned and connected to an entirely different world. You know, it looks like weights in a gym, but that's not the point. The point is follow your instincts, because they're going to start to come out, because you're creating a space for them to come out, right? And resist any urge to buy stuff. I know that that's going to sound crazy, because your brain is like, I need to buy the baby this and I need to buy the baby that and create this space for the baby. Stop doing that. Babies don't need stuff. And how many people are like, oh, I'm going to buy all these little baby clothes and I'm going to put them up and I'm going to visualize my baby coming in and wearing them. Babies don't need stuff. They need you, and they need to know that you understand who they are and what they need. And when you follow your instincts, that's the gift you're giving them already. And that's how the babies and the souls know these are the parents, because these are the beliefs that I want to come into. Okay.
Yeah.
It's massive, massive.
Huge.
So
Beautiful.
it is, right? So from here, you've got your bowl, you've got your date, you've now collected all of the beautiful awesomeness. You're going to create a space on that date. Okay. Now, this is understanding that it's your sacred space. You've let every single human in your life know, sacred space, don't come near, for 48 hours. Okay. That is your sacred space. So your date is the day. Okay. So there's going to be a full day of, and then there's the day after. Those are your sacred space days. Nobody comes into your space on those 2 days, other than you and your partner. Obviously, that would be weird if it was not your partner. Okay. So the reason is, when you tell them your date, they're contributing to your sacred space.
Right.
They're going to respect it, to honor it, and to be excited. You're also going to share, we will let you know when we know that, you know, like when we get the tests back or whatever. So don't call and ask or whatever, right? Like, you know, but that's our date. And most people now are pretty respectful of all those things, right? They're not like, okay. So, but the reason is you don't want any distractions, right? So this comes back to what happens during childbirth. 0 distractions.
Right.
Okay. So your body is making sure you have 0 distractions during childbirth. And then your partner is the one who's like, if anybody wants to come in the space, they're like, no, 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 back off, right? That's at least that's meant to be their role. And the hypnobirthing book is great for that. But it's your job for the conception ceremony in those 48 hours. So if you've let them all know, they don't call, don't email, don't text, don't be like, yeah, I hope you're having fun. Just want to say hi. I'm thinking about you. Don't do that. Don't do that. If they're going to do it the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to turn every digital thing off, everything for those 48 hours. If you want to go away, that's fine. You don't have to be in your sacred space, okay? Because of the world we live in, and where we are now, sometimes it's better to leave and sometimes it's not. It doesn't really matter, okay? What matters is that you're creating the space energetically through vibration that says, this is our sacred time together as a family. Okay. Now, the ceremony itself. Okay. So it's really cool. You open the ceremony. It's together. Okay. So you've gone through your day, spend some time outside, go for a walk. Doesn't matter what the weather is, just dressed for it. Makes no difference. And you've gotten some fresh air, go swimming. I don't care what it is, but not in chlorine, right? In natural. And then you bathe and you dress in something that makes you feel connected to your partner, not sexy for your partner, but connected to your partner and the intention that you're bringing into this space. Okay. So you're dressing and gosh, this is crazy. I've never shared any of these details. So it's really fascinating to me.
I've got chills. Beautiful. It really is.
It's, it's intimate, right? These are intimate, I'm shaking.
It's sacred. I mean, it's beautiful because gosh, we don't do it this way. We just, we've made it mechanical, like you said. And this is, wow, I've got chills all over. It's the way it should be.
Right? Exactly. It's how it was created to be. And then we made it into something different based on fear and all of these other things. So you are, you're spending time. And again, your meals that day, are again, based on what feels right, but they're lighter. And if you don't feel like eating, that's okay too. Okay. But if you are, it's smaller, it's more, like the highest vibration food you can bring. So again, we were completely raw vegan at this point. And, I remember actually we had gone away and stayed at this resort so we could be like completely, and they sent, because it was also our sacred union, which is like our marriage, and except 50 million times more intense, but that's a whole other thing for a whole other time. We'll get into sacred union one day. But what they said was chocolate covered strawberries. And we both kind of laughed at each other because that's again, right? That comes back to, this is the mechanical side of things, right? Like this is what you do. And it was lovely and it was thoughtful, but we didn't have any because that's not the food that we were, bringing into our spaces. So, but it was cool. We went to a resort and we brought all of our food so that we literally didn't have to go anywhere and didn't have to see anyone. And so again, it's not like you're going on a luxury resort and you're going to have room service and it's going to come whenever you want. Like it's sacred space, which is fundamentally different than luxury. Sacred space means your intention, your effort. That's the thing, right? It's not about someone else's effort in the kitchen, because if it's someone else's effort in the kitchen, then that's basically that's the space you're creating with your child. So the child that doesn't want a mother or a father, doesn't want their parents to cook, they want, someone serving their meals all the time. That's the child that would choose that, right? So don't do something that's out of your normal, out of your regular, because that's not going to be helpful. You want it as grounded and as full as possible. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, um, yeah, so we were dressed, we ate, we walked, we nature, bathed, yes, dressed, and you're bathing separately. Okay. Because when you come together, will be, so here's the other part. It's the first time you're going to touch each other in a different way in 4 to 6 months. So the intention is for the energy to build, right? Like that's, but it's also understanding that every time you kiss or you have any sexual interaction, it's dissipating your energy. So what your job has been doing in the background is building that energy up to this culmination point so that it can explode, right? Because if you, like, when you, gosh, like when I'm in that room, because I was in the room at that point, I'm not in the room with other people when they're conceiving, because that would be weird. But when the spark of life, it's like a light that explodes into the room, and it is unbelievable, right? So it's understanding that the more energy you save up, the bigger that spark is going to be. More, it's like when you start an engine, the bigger spark you get, the faster and more potential it's going to have of turning over, right? Same thing. Okay. Same thing. But energetically, it's massive, because we're also in a place where these higher souls are coming in, higher beings, more awareness, more vibration. And they can't come in to people who are just walking around like zombies, doing it like how everybody else is doing it. They can't. And if you're meant to have one of these babies who's such a high vibration, and you haven't embraced that you're meant to yourself, you're going to have challenges conceiving.
Yeah.
Because you're meant to conceive greatness. But you can't conceive greatness if you don't believe in and participate in your own greatness. Make sense? Isn't it beautiful? Like,
Yes, I've got chills. I keep saying it, but I do.
so cool. So now you're dressed. I would like I said, we dressed individually. They're showing me separately is better, because you want to build more anticipation and excitement. There's also going to be nerves, right? Like there's going to be like, like, is it going to happen? What's going to happen? How's it going to happen? But then what happens is your ceremony starts and the nerves start to go away, because you're no longer focusing on them, because now you're going to focus on your family bowl. So we have 3 things. You also are going to procure a family blanket. Okay. Now, your family blanket, again, all natural substances. It maybe one of your family members will knit. Maybe, you want it to be big enough that when you have your family, everyone can sit on it in a circle. You can be sitting close. Okay. So this is like, I purchased one and it was a queen size, and it was just a cotton blanket. So natural, doesn't matter. You can, whatever natural fiber speaks to your heart, go for it. That's brilliant. Okay. So your blanket is spread out on the floor. So you're going to pick your space where you're going to hold your ceremony. Okay. Your blanket is spread out and your bowl is placed in the middle. Okay. And then for this ceremony, we placed a candle in the bowl, in the middle of the bowl, but it was high enough that we can place all the other items in the bowl, and the candle was still safe. And we also placed so you are going to purchase some things, right? And we procured so that 4 candles, there was a candle on each corner. Okay. So I actually had glass candle holders that we got from the dollar store years and years prior. So just little glass ones. And we got beeswax, because that's the candles that I prefer. Unscented, again, thinking about a baby, and they burn the cleanest. So nothing was going into our, you know what I mean? So no scents, no chemicals, all that. So we had candles in each 4 corners, and then in the bowl in the middle. And then we sat across from each other, and the bowl was in the center. Okay. And we each took a turn. So we had the lighter, and I lit one candle in one corner, with the intention that there's safe, like, so now you're creating this sacred space on the blanket. Okay.
Right.
And so I lit one candle, and just setting the intention that that side of the circle is protected and safe. And then my partner, he lit another corner, and then I lit another, and then he lit another, and then we lit the one in the middle together in the bowl. And you can leave the circle to go to the washroom to get a drink. It's fine. I mean, we were in ceremony for 8 hours, right? Like, you're not, yeah, you're not going to not do other things during this. Okay. So, what you then want to do is you have all of the items on the blanket, all the items that you've collected from your family members. Before you light your candles, all of them are there, and the bowl is in the middle and it's empty, and you just have the candle in the middle. Okay. And then you're going to start placing the items in the bowl one at a time. This is the beginning of your ceremony. So as you pick up an item. Okay. So typically what we did, and this is what they're saying, like, so whomever's family or friends that item came from, that's the person who will pick it up, and they'll share who it was from. They'll share why it's valuable to them, like why it's valuable to the person who lent it to you, but also why it's valuable to your partner, right? Or to yourself. And you're going to share why this person, like all the benefits that this person will offer your child. You're going to share them out into the world,
Yeah.
in front of your partner, and then your partner's going to do the same for their items from them. And together, so that, depending on how many items you have, that probably took us 3 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe 3-4 hours, because every item deserved the utmost respect, because it's the human behind it that you're celebrating. But some of the items, like the Bible, it was being able to go into the generations of, understanding that we're continuing our family line. We're doing it consciously. There were challenges that they faced, and, and we're sad that they had to go through that, but we also understand that we've chosen to learn how to move beyond them. Like all the things you've learned, you're going to share from your heart, everything that experience means to you, because in turn, it's also understanding that that's the guidance and wisdom you're going to be offering this child. So you're bringing that wisdom into the ceremony. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That's the energy that's building during your ceremony. It's an awareness of all of these people, all these experiences, all of their, you're going to share their challenges and how they overcame them, and why they're such an amazing, incredible human, and why their wisdom is so important in your life, and it's going to be in the baby's life. Make sense?
Beautiful.
So this is why they're like, this is so fundamentally different than what's out there in the world on conscious conception. Most people, like, you set the intention, you want to create a baby, and then you just do these lovely things. And you see what I mean? Like, it's completely different. So,
Yeah.
right. And then once you've added all of your items, it's time to just feel into each other, have something to eat, and relax, and then start to feel into each other. And then you start talking about your visions, your goals, your intentions for your family, and how you want to raise your children, how you want them to feel. Remember that everything is about how they're going to feel in how you want to raise them, because most of us think about raising our children based on goals that we decided, they're going to be able to go to university, and they're going to be able to do this, and they're going to have this. And that's not what this is about, right? This is about nurturing who they are and creating that space where they get to discover who they are, free of any limitations. And how you know if you're nailing it is by recognizing all the limitations that you've experienced and faced. And how would you create a different experience and different opportunity? Because that is sacred, because it's your wisdom. You've lived it, right?
Yeah.
Knowledge is what we read and what we hear and what we see. That's all just a bunch of stuff, you know. It doesn't become wisdom until you live it. So your first-hand wisdom is what you're bringing into this world. And if you can do it in a way that allows you to recognize that your challenges were your opportunities for you to grow, and that you can share them in a way that allows you to recognize that you're not broken, that you're in fact stronger because of those challenges, and you're giving this baby, by creating this safe space and this sacred space, you're giving them the opportunity to have their own exploration of who they are. It's massive.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Yeah. And then there'll be a moment where you'll just know it's time.
Yeah.
And then you go.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, it's remembering you're not having sex. I
Mm-hmm.
know that that is tricky. Um, it's continuously, it's allowing, because you've worked so deeply on communication over the last 4 to 6 months and respecting each other,
Yeah.
that when you start to go into the process, okay, you'll be able to pull the other person back when they get caught too much in the sexual side. You'll be able to come back and go, right, feel it, feel the connection. It's not feeling the sexual stimulation, it's feeling the connection and the energy flowing through. Let the energy build as much as it can. It's not about release. It's not about striving to get to that connection, like the culmination right away. It's understanding that there is an energy that you're going to be following, and it is the energy of the soul of your baby. Okay. And that soul will guide you through the journey of the connection itself. Okay. It's the trickiest, but it's not tricky. It's tricky going in. If you had to do that today, it would be tricky. But
Mm-hmm.
because you have those 4 to 6 months
Right.
of building your relationship all on communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding that you're going to know how to do this, and it's because you're now feeling, right? You've felt into your intuition of what you need to do with your body, what you need to eat in your body, what you need to, all those things, that by the time you're in the actual act of conception, the physical side of it, you're going to know what physical, like, you'll know everything from where your body needs to be, what you need to be relaxing into, what you need to, you know, like, it's just, it happens, and it is incredibly powerful. And then there's a moment where the energy in the room shifts entirely. And like for me, at the same time, it was just this bright, like the whole room lit up. And it was just, it was like, okay, it was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I keep thinking about the 4 to 6 months prior because it's the buildup. And you're right. You couldn't just do that tomorrow.
No,
You have to have the buildup because you've already had enough of the communication between you and your partner that day it is all energy. It is all flow because you've worked through you
everything.
know,
There's no fear. And there'll be little
exactly.
niggling ones, but by the time you're sitting there and you're going through all of these amazing humans that are already contributing to this, the fear goes away. It doesn't
Yeah.
even exist. You've literally created a space where fear can't get in because your energy is bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's phenomenal. But you have to, like, to your point, you can't just do this tomorrow or next week. You have to do all the steps. And this is the thing is, our society is instant gratification. Can I pay you to do this for me? Right? If I can pay you to fix me, then we're good to go. That's how the entire medical system makes money. Fix
Yeah.
me, fix me, fix me, fix me. This isn't about that. And this isn't just for humans who, people who are having challenges conceiving. This is for anyone who wants to conceive a child in the highest vibration possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's for anyone, right? I
So
didn't have any challenges. And again, 38 years old, conceived first time, and
yeah,
zero issues. Why? Because my intention was pure and it kept building.
yeah.
It was for us, it was 4 months to the day. Now there's
What?
more powerful days. Sorry,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is
keep
more
going.
powerful days for conception. The solstices and the equinoxes are super powerful days. Do not pick one that's 2.5 months away because it's too soon. Okay. Just so we're clear, it's better to go a little bit longer than so that you actually have enough time to build up enough power. Right? Makes
Yeah.
sense. So 4 to 6 months is definitely is the window within that. You don't want to go less than 4 months, right?
Okay.
I mean, being, yeah, you don't want to go less than 4 months. Yeah. Sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I mean, I'm curious. Well, first off, I had so many thoughts when you were going through it. Like the idea of it takes a village. I think that that is so we've gone so far that we forgot that part, and this is such a beautiful reminder of it takes a village. This is not a small act. This is bringing a new human, a soul has made a choice to come into this world. Like this should be something that is
And
celebrated.
you've made a choice to be the guardian, the caretaker of this new soul. Like that's
Right.
massive, massive,
Yeah.
especially in this day and age where nothing is as it seems, right? Like it's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do have a question though about couples I mean, there are couples who decide right away, I would like to adopt. Is there a
Yep.
version of this for them?
Yep. So it's the same thing, except I
Okay.
mean, you can still have sex at the end as well. Like it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
the understanding that that baby is coming. That
Right.
baby is coming to you. You're the caretaker. A parent is a parent. It's a person who is becoming a guardian. You can feel the energy. It's the guardian of a new. I'm like super emotional. It's they're choosing to take over for someone who couldn't continue on that journey. Like
Mhm.
that's massive.
Yeah.
Sorry. Whew.
It's sacred.
It's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge, right? It's the greatest gift you can give another human being, literally, is existence itself, right? And then the ability to have a space. And yeah, I get it. Some spaces, you sit there and go, oh my God, how would I ever chosen my parents? My life was hell. I had so many challenges, but the reality is my life hasn't been pretty. I actually spent last night making a list of all the trauma that I have gone through. And it's not normal, but it's also understanding it's not normal because my level of impact in this world and what it's meant to be is not normal.
Right.
So, you know, we'll do a whole episode on that because gosh, that's a huge conversation in itself. And I feel like we're almost at an hour and a half and everyone's probably like, oh my gosh, okay, this is a lot of information. But um, you
But you
know,
love it. Listeners, I know you love it. You want us to
well,
go on for 3 more hours. I hear you.
I love you. You're so awesome. Um, yeah, you know what? It's this to me, like I said, my son is 10. I haven't shared this with anyone because it's sacred. I haven't
Right.
shared these details because I wasn't at a place where I felt like I could share the sacredness and it would be preserved. And
Yeah.
so thank you. Thank you for creating that space with me. I'm super grateful because that lets you know how much I respect you as a
Oh,
human being.
I I I am incredibly grateful in this moment and will be for the rest of my life because, I didn't mention this before, but my husband and I have been on the journey of conceiving. So this is huge. This is
Right?
beautiful. This
You can
is
incorporate it into your world. Like, how
yeah,
cool is that?
exactly. And I think that there's another piece of it. I will say your comment about acknowledging the wisdom that you've acquired up until that point in the ceremony.
Yep.
That is that's unconditional love for yourself,
Right?
for your partner.
And that's what
And
you wanted. That's the space you want to create for this human,
yes,
right?
yes,
Yes.
it's just, I have chills. It's beautiful. It's
Maybe one
beautiful.
day, I always thought I would love to do like a workshop weekend for couples so that I can walk them through this one on one, and like not one on one, but like in person, like a couples weekend, like small, intimate, but like 10 or 12 couples. And we can go through it and they can get the messages like each other so that we can create a space where they're on the same page right away. Wouldn't that be so
Yeah.
cool? Oh
Oh,
my
it would
gosh.
be incredible.
Okay,
Incredible.
well, if
Because
you guys actually want to experience this, you have to let me know.
you signed up. You've signed up already.
I love it. Oh my gosh. That would be so
Thank you
cool.
for sharing.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you so much for coming and for being a part of this. And I just, yeah, you have a piece of my heart for sure. 100%.
thank
I
you.
love you. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to learn more, head on over to michellevickers.com. Join our mailing list to receive new episodes right to your inbox or apply to be a guest on the show. If this episode made you think of someone while you were listening, forward the link onto that person with a little note about why it made you think of them, because the greatest gift you can give another human is to see the beauty and purity of who they truly are. Until next time, stay curious.